that are feeding, that are additional to your bike. And they both tie in back here. If you remove that cap off your battery, you're going to see those two red connectors. And you see how I hook them up? A lot of guys will put the connectors right underneath the bolt. You don't want to do that because that's a light duty piece of metal. And when you tighten the bolt on that, it wants to torque it and they rip. So you always want to sandwich it in between bigger pieces of metal.
Okay.
So you'll see that you've got two hot lines coming over here. This one here is for your GRP grips. So what you're going to need to do is get yourself a collection of fuses with all the proper amounts. Here's what we ought to do. From the factory, it's a 5 amp.
Okay.
So that's what you put in there. All your other fuses are underneath here. So you should get yourself a collection of large blade and mini blade fuses with a plastic bag, put it in here somewhere and kind of zip tie it. And that way if you ever blow your fuses, you've got an extra collection. Because sometimes you're going to find out that you put another one in and it blows. If you blow more than 3, you've got a wire that's bad.
Right.
And don't use that circuit anymore. So this is it's a 5 amp and it's for your grips only. So you have a dedicated system to the battery for your grips alone. Here, if you take a look, these are how the grips work. When you first turn them on, you'll see it light up at 30% heat.
Okay.
Then you keep pushing the plus button and it keeps going up. So now it's at 100%.
Okay.
This will bring it down.
Will this shut off automatically?
This one has the intelligent heat controller has an automatic shut off. I think the other way is you just hit it twice.
Okay.
If you don't want to worry about. This is where it helps to have a battery that has more reserve.
Right.
Because if you do goof up and you have an error, you can't always go back to your Kickstarter.
Are any kind of gloves work better with these than others?
No, thinner gloves.
Thinner gloves.
Yeah, the more insulated the glove, the less the heat's going to get to you. These are actually you're feeling the heat already. But these are so hot that you'll probably complain.
Okay.
Yeah, on 100%, they're very hot. Maybe that's where you might want to keep them up high, and just wear like a thicker glove, and maybe you can find a happy combination. The other line is here, and it's for your fuse box. So it'll be hidden behind this. So if you lift your seat up, you'll be able to get to it.
And this is the fuse box for this?
Yes.
The Lynx?
Yes. And this just goes in, it's just a push-on. You want to be careful when you pull it out that it does come off easily. Sometimes they grab and people rip the rubber.
Yep.
So that's your CDI. So this one here is a 30 amp. I don't know where you want to, doesn't matter where I write it.
No.
So that's where that's going to be. This is where I got to get the transistor to jump it. I got to jump those two to get the gauges to work properly. And this is something that didn't have to happen on the older bikes. You just basically unplug this, tape this up, and you'll be done. Now I have to put a resistor in there, not a transistor, a resistor, so that it senses a feedback to think that that part's still in place. The bike's gotten a lot more sophisticated. This bike does not have any of these cables. It's not fly-by-wire and it's not ABS. So you've got a lot more going on in the same confines versus the 13. Okay, so the one line, these are your grip wires. They both have their own leads. They come out, one is left, one is right. The other one is a power feed. I have the power feed coming in down here. There you go, grips.
So they're marked right and left?
They're marked right, it doesn't matter because they just send the same power to both. So if you disconnect this, you're disconnecting everything to your grips. You ever need to replace those, this is what you do.
Okay.
You unplug this, you could continue to use those wires, you're going to be removing this part. This is your heat controller.
And you greased those all up already?
No, I left this dry. When you get in here for service, that's when you want to introduce the dielectric grease. You know, you're fine, your bike is brand new. You know, when you take it apart, you want to clean it with water. You want to use this. This is a contact cleaner for electrical.
Okay.
And then you want to get some dielectric grease and you want to pack the joint completely. Don't just put enough on there.
So I don't want to do it now.
No, do it when you have a service. I would say when you come back, take some of your connectors off, like especially, like this is a high contact area, so I would take the connectors off here. You know, Alaska may not be bad. It's probably moist up there. So this area would be worse. You're gonna have more
Right.
dust floating around here. And what you gotta watch are all the connectors with these rubber rings on them, because they bake on, and then when you go to like take it apart, it ends up being a pain in the butt, and sometimes the connector breaks. So this is where you want to put the grease to make sure it fits well. But pack the joint. If you
mean
just put a little
in
bit.
here? Yeah, pack it
Yeah,
in here.
because
Yeah.
if you basically want to see the shit squeeze out.
Okay.
If you don't, what'll happen is the dust will get in there and it'll just start to rub and migrate itself. It can't go into a packed void. So this, I'm going to have to do something like this to put it up in here
Tie it.
and tie it together so that it stays up out of the way.
Zip tie it.
Well, here's what I think I need to do, because here's the problem I'm having, or here's the concern that I have. If you take a look up here, here's how that, see, these two wires are your two wires. I'll tell you what. Let me do this and make it even simpler. These are your two additional wires. That I've brought in.
Okay.
So you always know where they're coming in at. And I did them in a nice straight shot. And if you look at this plastic housing that KTM provides, it's a wire guide. And there's a tunnel here. And it comes out over here on this end. This is the piece of plastic.
Yep.
And this holds a lot of stuff together, because this is what you need to be concerned with. If you turn from one end, see, you got to make sure what's hitting.
Right.
Where are we going to potentially have issues, and what are the wires going to do? The problem is this was mounted way lower. This, you see that loop there and that loop there? These wires were down here. This was down here.
Yep.
Tied up on the bottom, totally out of the way. With the Lynx, what I think Lynx should have done, but they didn't want to get into the complication, is duplicate that connector to make an extension 4 inches longer, so this could have all stayed in the same relationship.
Right.
Because KTM spent a lot of time. This is like the fourth, 3 or 4 times they've redone this because they've had problems. So
Right.
this is what they're doing. They're figuring out, why doesn't it work? Let's redo it. And because this is what I had to do. It's like your power is coming in from over here, and what I did is I zip tied it here and here as a stress relief, so that if somebody down here becomes a gorilla or something happens, they're not going to yank everything apart and do
Right.
damage or have disabled gauges. So that's why they're tied in like that. But all I can do is actually leave this float. And I have to have it in a place back here. I also need a stress relief for it, because see, as this turns, it can't tug on this at all.
Right.
This wire cannot be stressed, because you're going to have thousands of movements up here. Not only that, but you're going to have this going on all day on
Right.
rough roads. So everything here has to be factored in, like where's it going to go and where's it going to stay safe. I noticed on one of your wires, see right here, you already had some chafing. I'm going to have to repair that.
Wow.
Do you see? And that's when this was in the down position,
Yeah.
like way down there. So that one I'll repair. But what I think I'm
Damn.
going to do when you look at this next time is I'm going to take some wire and I'm going to attach it here and bring it out, or maybe attach it up here and bring it out. And I'm going to have like a stress relief so that these can be attached.
Like a little aluminum arm or something?
I don't know exactly what I'm going to use, because it needs to be flexible too.
Are
Because
you going to do that now?
I got to make it. I mean, I could toss this in. If it were my bike, I would take the time because this is the Achilles heel of,
Yeah.
this is where the heart of a lot of stuff is.
Yeah, let's
and
do
I think I'd rather do that to make sure. So when you look in here again, you're probably going to see a wire, and this is going to be attached to a wire. You're going to say, what? I don't see the reason for that. That's stupid, get it out of there. It's really wire management.
Right.
So I got to figure out where all this is going to go so it isn't going to be a problem.